Hi, this is Jim from Trek World, and I want to welcome you to the third in our series of Do You Remember? This is where we're going to go back and we're going to take a look at the original effects that were in Star Trek, the television series, in the 1960s. As most of you are probably already aware, in 2005, CBS Digital remastered the original series, and they removed all of the original visual effects done in the Star Trek television series in the 1960s, and replaced it with CGI. Now, when they did that, the original versions of Star Trek were slowly but surely removed from all online streaming services. Over the next few years, what the original series looked like with its original optical effects has become somewhat of a memory. In fact, the only way that you can actually see the original optical effects is to buy this series on DVD or Blu-ray, where they make a version of it available for you to be able to see. Other than that, you can't find it anywhere else. So the Do You Remember video series is taking us back in time. We've already looked at the original scenes that were shot for The Cage and Where No Man Has Gone Before, and we've also already looked at the effects that were shot in Season 1 to be used in the Star Trek television series after the two pilots. Today, we're going to take a look at Seasons 2 and 3, and we're going to go back and show you all of those original effects. If you've got them on Blu-ray, then fine, that is absolutely perfect. But if you don't own a Blu-ray set or a DVD set, and you live in the world of streaming like so many people do, this is probably the only time that you're going to see all of these in one place. We will actually review, when we are done all three of these videos, we will have actually looked at every scene ever filmed of the Enterprise to be used in the original series. So join me after the break as we continue in our video series examining the original 1960s era special effects used to film the USS Enterprise. Please be sure to check out these other popular Trek World videos when you're finished watching this one. Also, if you hit that little like button under the screen for me right now, you will be helping YouTube to show this video to more people and give them a chance to discover these unique and fascinating videos as well. So in Season 2, they decided to make some changes to the opening credits. They now listed created by Gene Roddenberry on the main Star Trek title, and they added DeForest Kelley as Dr. McCoy. While making these editing changes, they decided to make some edits in the ship sequences as well. They shortened the first clip, which had originally shown the Enterprise flying towards you and then speeding away, and instead only used the latter part of that shot. They removed the orbiting shot that previously had been used where you could actually see the lights in the nacelles, and they replaced it with an almost identical shot taken during the second pilot where they weren't lit. Between those two shots, they inserted another second pilot shot showing the Enterprise passing from left to right. Now, I'm not entirely sure what prompted them to make the ship changes, but the final result did have a few positive aspects. One, they now showed the side profile of the Enterprise, which admittedly is one of the best library assets they ever had. Two, all of the new shots resulted in the same colored planet. And three, all the shots are now from the second pilot. So even though they did not show the lighted nacelles, everything else was at least uniform going forward in the series credits. Now, Season 3 would not introduce any additional changes to the Enterprise shots used in their credits. So up first for Season 2 is the 31st episode filmed, Metamorphosis, where they created two brand new shots needed for the episode. So this first clip is one I call Up Next, and it'll be fairly self-explanatory as we go along. Very similar in structure to the original Cage shot. This also was part of a longer clip where the Enterprise slowly turns to face you and then pulls in tight to the top of the saucer. The entire sequence was never used. Instead, this scene was shown at various lengths in a total of 8 different episodes. It is most widely seen in the Next Time trailers that ran after each episode that told you what was happening next time on Star Trek. As such, people who discovered Star Trek in syndication never saw these trailers because syndication aired out of order. We never got a chance to see them until the release came out in home video years later. Now, the second shot I call Beauty Shot for obvious reasons. It's an absolutely beautiful shot that really highlights those multicolored nacelles. This is perhaps the very best shot ever done that actually allows us to examine the way that the lights rotated in the nacelles. Too bad they only used it one time. Next up is a fan favorite and definitely a Star Trek heavyweight, filmed 35th Doomsday Machine, needed a whopping total of 49 ship shots, and that is the most shots ever used of Enterprise models in a single episode. For Doomsday Machine, they needed to film shots of the Planet Killer, so they used the opportunity to film 2 new shots of the 11-foot Enterprise as well. Now, the first shot was shown tight in on the Enterprise with a composited image of one of the 18-inch AMT models below and slightly to the rear of the Enterprise. Used in 6 episodes total, this shot would be used in later episodes where the camera would actually start a little bit more pulled out and then pull into frame tighter around the bridge. The second shot is a beautiful left-to-right shot that shows off the lighting effects of the ship in great effect. They would use this in only 3 more episodes, including one instance where they used it to fire phasers. Wait a minute. What is this here? Okay, it is obviously not the 11-foot model, and there's no record of the 3-foot model ever being used in the 2nd or 3rd seasons to represent the Enterprise. So exactly what is this little stowaway? To get our answer, we need to go back and look at a prop made for the episode Cat's Paw. In that episode, an alien created what basically was a voodoo doll of the Enterprise. Seen here in a photo, she exposed it to a flame and the temperature of the real Enterprise spiked dangerously high. Then she sealed it in a block of lucite in order to trap the Enterprise within a force field. To film the episode, they created 2 identical metal models, one of which was encased in lucite. After the series was over, the one sealed in lucite was donated by Matt Jeffries to the Smithsonian. The other one used to film in the Doomsday Machine was never seen again. Now, if you're still trying to wrap your head around the fact that they actually filmed the 3-inch Enterprise, and trust me, a lot of people will argue with me on this, but it is actually factual. You can see it in the photographs and in the clips. And if you were actually thinking, well, maybe then, Jim, that was an AMT model. They used a bunch of them in the episodes. Take a close look at this footage of the AMT model. Notice the damage and the position of the nacelles. The nacelles were straight in the metal model, and there was no damage on the metal ship. So next up on our agenda is Mirror Mirror, the 39th episode filmed. This particular shot was filmed during the making of Where No Man Has Gone Before. As before, this ship was actually filmed using the reverse registry numbers. It was the second of 2 shots filmed during the second pilot that featured those reverse numbers, but neither shot ended up being used in the second pilot. Instead, they were used as stock footage by other episodes during the season. Now next up is the 42nd episode filmed, The Trouble with Tribbles. They needed to create 3 new clips of the Enterprise so that they could composite it optically over the K7 miniature. So for those of you out there that didn't know, due to the abundance of photograph and film evidence that was recorded for these shots, it was a great choice by the Smithsonian to use the appearance of the 11-foot model in this episode as what was to be used as the baseline for how the Smithsonian would restore the model in 2016. Now the first shot I call Inside Nacelle, and they only used this shot one additional time in the Ultimate Computer. It was a stationary shot from the rear of the 11-foot model, and then they composited in the K7 model to make it look like the Enterprise was closing in on her, when in reality, they were just zooming in on the K7. Now, like what happened with Tomorrow Is Yesterday, they needed to use the 3-foot model in conjunction with the 11-foot model in order to provide the illusion of distance and depth when composited with the K7 station model. Now, ironically, they actually used a still photo of the 11-foot model and then physically moved the photo optically across the frame. If you watch the video, you will see the Enterprise is completely lit up, but the lights are not moving in any way. Another trivia point, they modified an AMT model so that it had moving nacelle lights. Every time they used an AMT Enterprise, it was pretty much destroyed at the end of the shot. So it caught the world pretty much off guard when Matt Jeffries offered the model used here for a charity auction in 2001. As you can see from the screenshot now, the model is currently in Paul Allen's Pop Culture Museum in Seattle, and is in fact the only surviving AMT model ever used in the Star Trek original series. Now the third shot is fairly nice. The Enterprise crosses the bow of the saucer as she's slowly pulled further and further into the frame. This was a great photo and was actually useful and beautiful at the same time. As such, they used it in 10 episodes total. The 44th episode filmed was Journey to Babel, and in that they needed a new phaser firing shot. The result was one of the most iconic photos that we've ever seen, and they used it from here on out when the Enterprise fired phasers. As such, it would be used a total of 15 different episodes. And if the above clip looks even more familiar to our older fans, it is because this screenshot was used on the cover of The Making of Star Trek after its second printing forward. So the 46th episode, Gamesters of Triskelion, they needed to have 2 new shots added. The first of which I call Bridge Zoom, is actually very reminiscent of the original Cage shot. In this case, the Enterprise approaches and it passes just under us as we literally zoom in tight on the top bridge dome. The second shot ended up replacing pretty much all of the earlier shots where we had seen the Enterprise from behind. Now, early in Season 1, we saw this kind of shot, but it was just above the rear right nacelle. It would sometimes be combined with a veer off to the left. Then we saw a shot created that showed the back of the Enterprise as it faced a planet. That clip put us below the level of the ship's port side. This shot would be used in all of those use cases going forward, appearing 33 times in 17 episodes. Now, in the 48th episode filmed, The Immunity Syndrome, they ended up needing a total of 17 clips of the Enterprise. All but one came from earlier episodes. The one they needed, well, that was truly a new and remarkable shot, where we actually close in and tight on the lower sensor dome. Amazingly, they only used this one other time, in The Lights of Zetar. So the 53rd episode filmed was, of course, The Ultimate Computer. Here we are given a much better shot showing the Enterprise coming straight at us in a flyby. But unlike the others that we've seen earlier, this flyby is level and not slightly angled, and it no longer comes directly at us as the last level flyby shot did. After its appearance in this episode in Season 2, it became a standard shot in Season 3. So the 69th production episode is the last episode that used new footage of the Enterprise model. A track in that ends with a close-up of the lower sensor dome on the saucer. While it wasn't used until Season 3, it was obviously filmed in Season 2. Remember that after Season 2 was completed, they put the Enterprise in storage, and it stayed there until well after the series ended, when it was on loan to a college in California. As such, though, this shot was never really seen in the clear, meaning that in That Which Survives, it had a shake effect that I've tried to remove a little bit. And when it was seen in Let That Be Your Last Battlefield, it had the episode's title superimposed on it, so you never really get a good look at this clip the way we have the others. So as we come to the end, let's look at these shots by the numbers. The most Enterprise clips in a single episode? Doomsday Machine. 49 different shots. Most seen Enterprise clip? Orbiting Toward Us, 113 appearances. Number of the times an Enterprise clip was filmed and only used once? 12. Number of times the Cage clips were used later? 44. The number of times Where No Man Has Gone Before clips were used? 171. The total number of Enterprise shots were 62. The total number of Cage Enterprise shots were 7. The total number of Where No Man Has Gone Before shots were 8. The total number of Enterprise shots in Season 1 were 25. And the total number of Enterprise shots in Season 2 were 22. Remember, there were no shots in Season 3. So this next set of stats is just to please my inner nerd. The number of times the 11-foot model was filmed for the TV series was 43 times. The number of times the 3-foot Enterprise was filmed to appear as the Enterprise in the series, 11 times. The number of times they used an AMT model, 7. And the number of times they used the 3-inch Metal Enterprise, once. Now, while I was finishing up the one from the first pilot, I got an email from a gentleman by the name of Bill Thomas. And he was very, very friendly to me, and he told me that he had done quite a bit of research into this exact same topic, and he was kind enough to send me a spreadsheet where he had actually created some pretty fascinating indexes on this information, which allowed me to do a lot of the by-the-numbers stuff we just saw a moment ago. He was also kind enough to send me all of the standard definition clips in a specific episode in the original footage. So, Bill, thank you very much for your assistance and your support. Okay, we have made it to the end of yet another video presentation. I want to thank you very much for the time that you've spent with us. Please be sure to check out these videos on our channel before you leave. And also, if you haven't already yet, please hit that like button under the video so that YouTube will show this video to more people and give them an opportunity to join us. Until then, live long and prosper.